Hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome to Harness the Shift podcast. This is a space where we explore personal transformation, conscious leadership, and the journeys of people who are doing the inner work and bringing that awareness into how they live, lead, and serve. I am your host, Jay. All right, let's see who's joining us today.
When I realized that I was the one in my own way, I started thinking about what did I need to do to get out of my own way? I decided that I needed to edit the crap out of my life. And that took me asking myself this one question about everything in my life. Does this serve me? And if it doesn't, I had to work towards getting it out of my life. Changing the mindset, changing the relationship, editing the relationship. I have tons of people and friends and places that I don't go to, I don't see, I don't talk to anymore because they weren't a part of future Naomi. It was a massive undertaking. It didn't happen overnight.
Hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome back, you beautiful souls, to Harness the Shift. My name is Jay, and I am your host. Today, I'm joined by Naomi Kreske. Naomi is a certified mindset and confidence coach and the founder of Keep Finding You. Her work centers on helping women build self-belief, deepen clarity, and expand confidence through mindset and manifestation practices, so they can create lives that feel intentional, authentic, and fully aligned with who they truly are. She's also the creator of Get Out of Your Way Guide, a free resource designed to help women identify self-sabotaging patterns, quiet the inner critic, and begin moving forward with greater clarity and direction. Naomi, welcome, and I look forward to where the conversation takes us. Hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome to Harness the Shift. Today, I'm joined by Naomi Kreske, a mindset and confidence coach from Middletown, Delaware. Hello, Naomi. How are you since we spoke before?
I'm doing really great. I'm so excited to be here. Been looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you. I look forward to it too. So what's been going on over there in your neck of the woods?
It's been cold. Winter has been wintering.
Really?
a lot longer than it's supposed to be, but spring is springing. So
yeah, it's funny that you say that. I spoke with a friend of mine that lives in Delaware, and she said that the snow was just crazy, the amount of snow that you guys got this winter.
Yeah.
So, but hey, it's mid-March and spring is on its way, which is amazing, right?
Yeah.
So there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I can't even believe that it's middle March.
Time flies.
I'm like, time truly does fly. Like, it's zipping by. I'm like, It's already a Saturday. What's going on?
Right.
So, and I've got a little bit of this, whatever this sniffly stuff is. And I don't know. I'm just, who knows what it is? There's theories out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's another topic for another. So, Naomi, before we get into the work that you do, I would love for the listeners to hear about your story and how you became a mindset coach, a mindset and confidence coach, and what was life like for you, and what were you navigating internally at the time?
Yeah. So my story is exactly why I became a coach. Because of what I went through, I needed me 15 years ago. So longer than 15 years ago, my life was quote unquote perfect. And I had the perfect childhood. I married my college sweetheart. We did the jobs, we did the traveling, we started a family. And I was on my third child. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I was living the dream. I had the white picket fence, which, you go to school, you get married, you have your children, you buy the house. It was like perfect. And out of nowhere, the rug was ripped out from under me. It was my big T trauma. My husband at the time decided to walk away from our marriage out of nowhere. And there was infidelity involved. And it was just like, what is happening? Like, how is this my life? And from there, I probably spent the next 12 years, what I lovingly now call on the hot mess express.
Girl, I've been there.
Yes,
Girl, I've been
yes.
there.
I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of women have. I was just doing all that I could to survive. I was now a single mom of three, a 9-month-old, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and it was a lot. And I had to provide. I now had to go back to work because I was a stay-at-home mom at the time, and I was on the struggle bus. Like I was just anything I could do to get one foot in front of the other to get through life. And I was stuck in survival mode and I didn't even realize it. It was crazy.
Yeah, that the survival mode, that's an interesting thing, right? When you come out of that and it's like you come out of the fall. I don't know how to explain it, but people that have been through it, they understand it, where it's like you're like, go, go, go. Because I was like that.
Yeah.
Go, go, go. Planes, trains, and automobiles. People that have done that kind of work where you have to travel a lot, or or you're taking care of 3 kids. I mean, I have such a profound respect, I think, now going through my journey for my mom and what she had, 3 kids. So like I get what you're saying, like, and it's like you're taking care of 3 different little humans and you don't have time for yourself and you're in this like survival mode. And I don't think folks realize like the effects of that. The effects of that on our hormones, the effects of it on our mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason for keeping us in survival mode. The system loves to have us in survival mode. So
Definitely.
the ultimate fuck you, pardon my French, to the system is to really learn to regulate the nervous system. And once you start to simmer it down and bring it down to a simmer, it's like you start to really see, oh my goodness, wow.
Yeah.
Like I was there, and there. And so that process of coming back to the present where that's where we can observe everything that's going on. And it's like, you take account for all of the things and you're like, what is going on? And I'm sure that you're in survival mode, and I'm sure that has a lot. There's effects that I'm not married, so I don't really, I don't like to speak from an experience that I don't have, but I can imagine that would be, I've been in relationships, so that would be, stressful for a relationship, right? Especially if both people are in survival mode.
Yeah.
We're not operating from our true authenticity when we are in that fight or flight, right? So this shift that you have, that it's obvious that you went through this shift, right? This major transition in your life with your marriage. And so was there a specific moment in that experience when you realized that life needed to change for you?
I'm not sure if there was like a rock solid specific moment, but on my journey of the Hot Mess Express, I started to want more. Like I started to want more out of life than this existence of just living. But I wasn't living. I was just thriving. And that's not life. And so I wanted more out of life. So I'm an academic. I love to learn. So I started reading all the self-help books. You can see them all behind me. And I started listening to the podcast and I started taking the courses, and I was like, there's got to be more. Like I wanted to have more in my life, and it was starting to make a difference. Like I was starting to learn things that were making an impact, but I wasn't helping myself enough. It was almost like I was just like dipping my toe into this new life, but I wasn't fully in. And that's where I was getting in my own way, because I was like half into my own self-development, and because the Hot Mess Express was still fun and party girl and dating douchebags and staying out late and drinking too much, and like that's those two things don't go together. Like self-development and partying and
Yeah.
all these toxic behaviors, they don't go hand in hand, unfortunately.
No, they don't. But, we do live our life in that limbo, right? Like we're just, okay, I'm riding over here. I'm going to ride over here. And it's like back and forth. And it's not that we aren't supposed to enjoy life. I think that we are supposed to enjoy our life and this life experience. But at the same time, I think, there's got to be some balance, right? Because we
Sure.
are in this meat suit. We do have responsibilities, and we do have a purpose. And so, yeah, I feel everything you're saying, because I was on the Hot Mess Express for a long while, and you start to get into your fees, and you're still, trying to act like you're in your 30s, you're even in your 20s, and then you just begin to realize, whoa, I think it's like, age comes knocking at the door, and it's like, well, wait a minute, what do I want to do with what's left of my life, right? And so you started taking inventory of this. You're riding that, teeter-totter, right? That's what I called it.
Yeah.
Is the teeter-tottering. Like, I don't know if I want to leave all that behind. And it's not that you can't go out and enjoy a nice cold beer every now and again. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But like, yeah, I get where you're like, man, I'm like doing this and all of that. So you talk about getting out of your own way.
Yeah.
And
So I'll tell you, so there is an actual moment for this shift.
yeah.
And I was reading a book, of course. And in the book, because a lot of my Hot Mess Express was around love, because as much as my heart was broken from my first husband, I still wanted love. I wanted that companionship. I wanted that best friend. I wanted that person to sail off into the sunset with. And, my toxic behaviors was only bringing me douchebags. And so I was reading this book about love. And the author in the story was having a conversation with her mother. So she's retelling this story. And her mom was basically, checking her and was like, you go out and you drink and you party and you stay out too late, but yet you still expect Prince Charming to show up and sweep you off your feet. She's like, that's not how it works. You are not attracting Prince Charming with all of these toxic behaviors. And that for me was the light bulb that I needed, because what that story was, that was my life. Like that was exactly, I could so put myself in that story. And I was like, this was an introduction to the law of attraction for me, because in its simplicity, what you put out is what you get back in this world. And I was wanting to be more, but my actions weren't aligning with that. So I had to really change my mindset and change my actions to match what I actually did desire. So I took this law of attraction aha moment and reinvented my life and started to get the fuck out of my way.
I love it. I love it. There's something to be said for those universal laws, right? I mean,
For
if
sure.
you really look at those principles, it's so true. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because I just joined up with Thane Martin, and he talks about the Hermetic principles and all of these amazing things that come from that when you align with them. It's like, makes sense. It makes sense. And, so it would make sense that if we have, this powerful being that created this world that we live in, And if we look back upon history, whenever we deviate from those universal laws, then chaos ensues. Something to be said for that. I love that. Well, don't you love wisdom?
I do.
It's like it doesn't need to be that difficult.
No, it doesn't.
We've created. I shouldn't say we've created. There's
Society.
things that have happened beyond our control with regard to humanity collectively, excuse me. But we have the power to change it. We have the power to start aligning with these principles that our Creator created. Looking back, I think, this is an esoteric teaching, right? So this is something that most, I would say, I wouldn't have the exact numbers, but it's obvious that we're not living by the principles, right? I think we're getting on track, which is amazing. I think the consciousness of humanity is increasing on a daily, which is amazing. And people are really wanting something different. And so this is why so many folks that are leaders, that are these natural born leaders that are stepping out and becoming coaches like yourself, right? And saying, yeah, you know what, if you just tweak this a little bit, you change your mindset, man, it's like you change the channel, right? It's truly remarkable. So looking back upon your life and all of that, and you're on the Hot Mess Express, you're on the teeter-totter, and you're, like, okay, I got to do something. And so looking back at that time, what were some of the beliefs that you carried about yourself that you eventually had to challenge? Because that's a big part of this journey is challenging our beliefs.
I think I'll start with the biggest one. And it was my own self-worth. And I had to believe, like really truly believe in my heart and my soul that I was worthy for more. Because oftentimes when we are in survival mode and that flight, fight, or freeze doesn't allow you to really look within and value yourself. You're so busy, defending from the exterior, and you have these walls up and you're emotionally unavailable. Like, you just become this shell of a person. So I had to really sort of dig in on my own worth. Like, I am worthy of an amazing life. I am worthy of the love of my life. I am worthy of a career that I am in love with. I'm worthy of all these things. And it's a tough road. It's not something that you just wake up and be like, haha, I'm worthy.
Yeah.
But that was definitely something that was, in my way, because I was surrounding myself with crap. And obviously that was a reflection of who I thought I was and what I was worthy of.
And it's interesting that you say that, because I don't think folks really realize that when we're in a mindset where we're like, why am I attracting all of these people? I mean, that's a great question to ask yourself. Why am I attracting? But you got to take it to the next level. Like, okay, why am I attracting these people? What is it about me? That I need to change? Because if we think about the Hermetic principles, we're energy. So if we're doing down in the lower energies of shame and anger and jealousy and victimhood and lack of self-worth and self-hate and all of these things, then it's like you're in that pit, right?
And then that's what you're going to get back.
Yeah, and that's what you're going to get back is the people in that pit, right? The people that, like, how unrealistic. I think back when I was on that, right? How unrealistic and how maddening it was that I actually believed that I do deserve. I am worthy of that, but not in that state that I'm in. And so I think folks don't understand that. We have to start doing the work on ourselves And then we are a reflection because we're mirrors. And it makes so much sense when you go throughout life and you meet that person or that person or that person. And then you're like, oh my God, I understand why. I understand why, because they are a mirror of what you are. We're mirroring, right? So instead of like if we're triggered by something somebody says, instead of being offended and taking it personal, the first question we should be asking is, what is this about me? Where is this coming from?
Yeah. Like,
Where's
why
this?
is that
Yeah.
triggering me? Yeah.
Why am I getting triggered? Because it's not Naomi. It's me. You're just the messenger. You're just bringing the mirror. And it's like,
and that level of self-awareness is
yeah,
the beginning. Like all self-help journeys, all journeys with anything starts with awareness. And sometimes it's a really big pill to swallow because you gotta really look at yourself. Like, who am I and how am I contributing to this life or this situation that I don't want? Because you are contributing to it, whether you believe it or not. You're in it.
You're in it.
So that self-awareness is the first step.
Yeah. And it's not to say like, I mean, even like on my, and maybe you've experienced this on my journey with regard to awareness, like it doesn't mean that I'm not going to be in a situation where I'm like going to get heated about something. But the moment that I can come in and be like, whoa, wait a minute, like take a deep breath and coach yourself through it. It's like the level of understanding your thoughts and all of this, and it's called metacognition, when you can pivot, right? You're observing your behavior and the thoughts. You're in control of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, how those emotions manifest. Now, not saying you can't be angry about something, but there can be an anger that's harnessed, right? That's harnessed in love, and we can avoid we can avoid transitioning into the judgment, right? Because that's also not, we're not supposed to be out here judging folks, because look, most of us, newsflash, you signed up for this journey, and there's choices to be made, right? And we make the choices that we do in our life based on beliefs, based on, our conditioning, based on fear sometimes, if we have that underlying fear. And so the best gift that we can give ourselves is to be present, so that we see those challenges come in and you're like, boom, boom, I got this. What's up? You're not like getting offended by everything that everyone says, right? And you're starting to gain this emotional intelligence, and man, what a better world it would be, right?
Sure.
Where we could step back and say, oh, okay, I'm not going to get offended, but hey, where's this coming from? Like,
right?
I can ask myself at the same time, why are you getting triggered? And then I can ask the person, like, if they're coming at me, but where's this coming from? What's going on here? Like, because I think there's a learning lesson in both. There's an opportunity, right? In every situation to like turn it around and give a glimmer.
I love to dig into like the why, because I've always had an interest in psychology and, the human condition, like what is behind why they're acting that way. Because a lot of people, they act one way, but they're feeling some way different in the inside. And it's just like, I want to know, like, I want to dig in. I want to figure this out, or I want to help you figure it out. Like, it's usually not all about what's on the surface. It's what's inside. And I love to get in there. That's why I love psychology.
Yeah. And it's, and the whole thing with psychology, right? It's so fascinating, and how you can mirror back to them. At the same time, you're learning something, but you can mirror back to them and be like, well, what is going on here? Like, it's just not normal for people to just be nasty. Like, it's just not normal. And I'm not saying that like I'm trying to label anybody, but it's not the normal way that we were created.
Right.
It's not authentic at all. Period. And so when someone is like that, it's like, okay, what did that person go through? Right. And it teaches us a little bit about
Right.
about
Or what are they
empathy
afraid
too.
of?
What are
Like,
they afraid of? What are
yeah.
they going through?
Right.
What are they holding on to? Um,
What is
there's
hurting them?
moments in that look, I've had many conversations that turned out kind of being like that, and then it's like boom, I'm gonna mirror it back,
Yeah.
and it ends up being like, you know, thank you for, and that cultivates patience, right? Because I mean, I think generally we've been programmed to be impatient and expect, things overnight, right? Like we
That
expect
instant
things to be
gratification.
done every night or overnight, when it's in reality, like if we're not involved in it, how do you know that it needs to be done overnight? And
Yeah.
the expectations of, okay, well, this isn't happening or that's not happening. And it's like, wait a minute, who said? Who said there isn't progress? Like, who said you can't see? You never know what you can't see. So the whole thing with psychology is amazing with
Yeah.
I love sensation and perception, people's perceptions about things that are going on, and how that ego likes to get in there and foobar everything up. And,
Mhm.
it's fascinating stuff. So,
Yep.
So when you started to rebuild, right? So you come to this point, you got to make a choice. Let's talk about that. You come to
Okay.
this middle ground and you're like teeter-tottering, and it's like, okay, enough of this nonsense. What do I need to do? And so you make the choice that you're going to pick Naomi, and you're going to peel that onion down and get to a point where now you're coaching the very same people that looked like you back then. So what does that look like?
So, well, you asked like two things there. So
I
I'll start
know.
with the first. I'll start with the
I
first
do
thing.
that sometimes.
So when I realized that I was the one in my own way, I started thinking about like, what did I need to do to get out of my own way? And what I decided that I needed to edit the crap out of my life. And that took me asking myself this one question about everything in my life. Does this serve me? Does this person serve me? Does this relationship serve me? Does this situation serve me? Does this attitude serve me? And if it doesn't, I had to work towards getting it out of my life, changing the mindset, changing the relationship, editing the relationship. I have tons of people and friends and places that I don't go to, I don't see, I don't talk to anymore because they weren't a part of future Naomi. So it was a massive undertaking. It didn't happen overnight. It probably took anywhere from, I don't know, 2 to 5 years. But
Yeah.
that's a question that I ask myself all the time. Does this serve me? And it was a big one. And then I went on to really sort of embrace these. I wanted to take radical accountability for my life because it is my life. And we've been talking about that. And then I wanted to infuse the law of attraction into every aspect of my life. Like if I wanted something, that like I had to shift how I was being. So a lot of times it's not about doing more, but it's about being more. And then you can live in that law of attraction place. And then I had to take scary, messy action. Like I had to do things before I was ready because being ready is a choice, not a feeling. So like that is how I got on my journey, and those are the exact steps that I took, and those are the steps that I teach because they work.
Yeah. Taking steps that's so tough because it's like,
It's scary. It's
It's
terrifying.
super scary. And if
Yeah.
things don't work out, which, that's happened in my life, like things don't work out. And then you're like, okay, well, what if I would have, I'm that what if I would get caught up in like, if I would have chose this, that, and that, what would that have looked like? Just because I just like to analyze stuff. I don't know. I'm just one of these people that is I'm a generator on human design. So I've always got like just stuff, right?
Mhm.
Ideas and things like that. So
But
yeah,
does that what
yeah.
if mindset, does that serve you?
Doesn't serve me and it
Right.
doesn't serve anybody else, right? So
Yeah.
it's like you make the choice with the information that you have, and then you just learn from the situation, whether it's good or bad. Maybe it's good and it still didn't work out. Maybe, trying to look at like what are the things that you did learn, because I think every choice that we have, no matter what it is, you're going to learn something from it that's going to move the needle for you, or make you sit back and maybe think about things a little bit, but not think about things in your head, but more in the spirit. Like, what am I doing here? What better serves me? What's my purpose? That kind of thing. And that process of sitting back and waiting, I always say waiting for instructions, right? Because if we believe in something, then we have to sit back and we have to kind of let it manifest itself. That takes time. And so
Mhm.
that's where people get impatient, is that time space, because we're so time bound, and we're also in this earthly realm, we're time bound, and we're also programmed and conditioned that it's going to happen overnight, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's a scary time when you're like, okay, I'm sitting back waiting for instructions. I mean, now I've gotten to the point where I'm okay, yeah, I'm waiting for instructions. I'm doing, but I'm waiting for instructions for, or for further instructions. And it's a good thing to learn, because
Well, yeah,
it's
it's
like
the
when you start to just concentrate on being in the present. I had a hair in my face. When you concentrate on being in the present and you kind of let go of that control, give it to the spirit. And if it's in alignment with your mission, like, it's going to come back around.
yeah,
And
that's the whole paradox of
yeah,
manifestation in general.
yeah, yeah. And so that's interesting. It's interesting. When I speak to people about their journeys, and one thing I can say, there's always like this common thread, even though your experience is so much different. There's a commonality, right? It kind of is this, overview of how the experience is so much different. That's why every single podcast I've had, it literally, I learn something every single time. I am not exaggerating, because it just goes to show you, like, if we were to extrapolate, I'm a research gal. So if we were to extrapolate what everybody said and quantify it and look at the data, like, there would be a common theme, because, that's how God created us. We are one, right? At the same time, though, we have this ability to come here and, step into a meat suit, right? And really have the opportunity to create a life that we want. But the creation of the life that you want requires you to do a little bit of work.
Yeah.
So
You have to be an active participant in your life.
right. And you said that earlier, right? And look, and I know I'm stubborn German. So, I think I've been on my journey for a long time, but it was also that teeter-tottering and making that decision. And you just get to a point where you realize that the lessons that you're learning, sometimes it's, you realize they kind of look familiar. And you're like, God will put you back until you get it.
Until
And
you learn it. Yep.
until you learn it. And
Yep.
isn't that, it's an amazing thing. You realize, wow, you learn humility. You learn that our creator like has so much patience. And so why am I being impatient? Like, and merciful, right? And understanding and all of these things. And it's, I mean, that's been my experience. You're shaking your head. So I'm thinking you
Yeah.
probably
I
have
mean,
the same experience. And it's like, what am I so afraid of? I would get to a point where I would say, what am I so freaking afraid of, man? And then it's like, boom, surrender. Whatever. I may not like it, but you flow. When you flow, you don't kink the hose, just like you just flow. And that's the concept of, I think from my perspective is of life, that when we flow like water, it's good, right?
yeah.
And the
Well,
moment we want to,
getting to that place of flow and surrender is very challenging because we are taught through society that we have to force life, that we have to take control. And when you are gripping life so hard, like you might kind of enjoy your life, but you're going to be exhausted and overwhelmed and stuck and survival mode. That is all of those places of force. But when you can surrender your life to the higher power, whether it's God or the universe, in my opinion, they're all the same.
all the same.
That is the sweet spot. But it is, for me, it's a level of co-creation. So like you have to be an active participant in your life. You have to be present. You have to be self-aware. But then you also have to allow God or the universe to participate also. So you have to loosen the grip and you have to let go and let God, So that's that paradox that I was just talking about. You have to be active and you have to plan, but then at the same time, you have to let go because the universe might have something even better planned for you than you can even imagine. So it's like you have to loosely hold on to your dreams because what if there's something even better that the universe has planned for you? And that flow state, that's where the magic really happens because you're just loving life at every single moment. And it feels amazing. It absolutely feels amazing to be there because you might not know what's coming next, but the universe has your back. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely. The thing about what you said when you were talking about how, okay, so you step into this, you surrender, you're doing the work, people start to fall off, right? Because you're evolving and they haven't yet got on the trail. And that you're dealing with grief there, obviously. Like, I mean, there's folks that have fallen off for me and there's grief associated with that because you're grieving that old version of yourself.
Uh-huh.
But then also all the amazing people that you met at that time, right? And
It's hard to let go.
That. Yeah, it's
It's really hard to let go.
Yeah, it is. And so I think maybe what I'm getting at is like if someone's struggling with that, because I struggled with that.
Same.
I don't know about you, but
Same.
I did. Because I genuinely love people. But at the same time, like as you do this work, you start to realize, whoa, all of the things that you did or you participated in that didn't serve you. And then you may get into the position where you're explaining yourself of why it doesn't serve you and tempering that. So I know folks are going through this because as you step into the journey, this is what happens. So what would be your advice for folks that are going through that, where they're feeling like, oh, I'm a bad person because I can't be around that anymore. And it's, and maybe harnessing that, am I being judgy or am I being selfish? Am I all of these things that we've been programmed that, you got to be the end all be all to everybody. And if you're not, you're a loser, which is
Yeah.
bullshit.
Right.
We know that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what's your best advice for that? Because that's challenging. It is
Yeah.
challenging.
Well, there's a lot of moving parts to that. Letting go is not something that our society, again, actively promotes, because our society teaches us that we can fix it, we can force it, I can make this work. I used to be the queen of I can make this work, because if I can't make it work, then I'm a failure. And I have tendencies towards perfectionism, and I can do anything, I can fix anything, I got this. And that is not an element in the flow state that I want to be in. So letting go is something that takes practice. It's something I've been working on for probably the last 5 or 6 years. In this last year specifically, I was focusing on surrendering. And it's taken me all year to really start feeling comfortable with, letting go, letting my life go to the universe, to the higher power that knows better than me. It starts, this process of letting go, first of all, starts with awareness. As I've said before, you have to really look deep within and look at where you are, who you are, how you've gotten there, what you want. Like, those are all some really simple but big questions. And they're important to start your journey. And then you start to heal, start digging into your worth, because that's a lot of where that comes from. Like, look at your worth and how valuable you are, and heal your vessel. So then you can start holding all the greatness that the universe wants to give you. And then look at it as a partnership. You're letting go, but at the same time, co-creating with the universe for all the things that you want to manifest is a beautiful place to be with. Like, it's like, hi, God, let's work together. Like, let's do this. Yeah. So it's a 3-step process. And actually, I just went through the 3-step process that I like to use for manifestation. So we've got awareness and clarity is step 1. Step 2 is learning how to receive. So doing that inner work on healing your vessel. And then step 3 is having faith and letting go.
Yeah.
Have faith in yourself, have faith in that higher power, and just let it go.
Yeah. Yeah, because worrying about it doesn't help anything. So how do you keep your mind from not going there and worrying about that in that letting go phase?
Yeah. That's a big question. It takes practice. So you have to find the modalities that help you practice. So it could be affirmations, it could be journaling, it could be meditation, it could be having a therapist or a coach. Like, these are the things that can support you in flipping your mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. So you started this Keep Finding You coaching program. And so I love this Keep Finding You, because that journey, it takes courage. It takes courage to really seek the truth. And I think, like, this concept about what is the truth. Well, the truth is what you know of as the truth. And everyone's truth is different, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what was the vision behind creating this coaching program? And how did the idea begin to take shape?
So I wanted to become a coach because I wanted to help people like myself. I could have used me like 15 years ago so badly. And I now super passionate about helping women get off the hot mess express easier, faster, smoother. I know that my journey was for a reason. And I get that. Not everybody needs to take 12 years on the hot mess express. Maybe they just need 2 or 5, and I want to be that person to help them through that, because I've learned so many things, and they are worthy of sharing and just helping people live their best lives. Like, I'm truly obsessed with my life now. I mean, that's not to say that it's perfect, because it's definitely not, but I am so in love with my life like I've never been in my whole life. And I turned 50 later this year. And sometimes it irks me that it's taken this long to figure it out, but I am so blessed to have figured it out. And I'm looking forward to the next 50 years of loving the shit out of my life.
You know what? You are right where you need to be, sweetheart. You know, uh, age ain't nothing but a number.
That is true.
You know, I'm 55 and I'm like, I don't, some days I feel like I'm 80, but, I'm joking.
No, I get it.
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, what is that? What does that feel like? Like, I just think that's another conditioning that we have around age. Like, you're a certain age, you're worthless and all that. It's like, no, I don't think so. Like, you have so much wisdom to share, Naomi, with the folks that you coach, that it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, you're stepping into you've stepped into your purpose, right? You've gone on this journey, and it's such an amazing thing, right? So the folks that are in your coaching program, like, what does that, can you give us a little idea of like what your coaching program kind of centers around?
Yeah, so my ideal client would be a woman who is on her self-help journey already, or knows that she needs to be on one. So there's already a little bit of self-awareness there, and she just needs that outside person to really sort of get her on the right path. Because when you're starting that self-help journey, you're like, it's overwhelming for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I am that person that can help you focus your energy, because like, I'm the calm in the chaos. I'm that very calming person, and I am very good at seeing the patterns and that you can't see. So, and pointing out your limiting beliefs and your blocks and stuff like that. So having that outside person to help you get you on the correct path for your own self-help journey, that's what I do.
So when you look back at your journey before this transformation right now, go back to that Naomi, let's say 6 years ago, what would you have said to her?
I would have said to her just how amazing she is, and that in every single moment of every single day, you are where you're supposed to be. So own it and just love yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, wouldn't you say that a lot of this journey is exactly what you said, honoring where you're at, right? That it doesn't have to look perfect. It might look messy. You know, there might be days you might be on the hot mess express. You know, you might just be like, I'm going to get on that hot mess express for a minute. And it may have been a long time since you did. We all have days where it's like, you know, I'm done with this nonsense. And I think in those times, it's having that like self-compassion, self-grace, right? Giving yourself a little bit of, you know, like, what you're doing. This work is hard. It isn't easy. It is.
Yeah.
And the last thing that we need to do is to beat ourselves up in the process. And I say this because, you know, I know that I've done that, and sometimes I still do it. But it's the point that I catch myself, right? That's what it's all about. I catch myself saying, and then I'll be like, shut down, telling my ego, sit down.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm right where I need to be. And that might be hard. I think I know of some folks that are just like, I'm just so exhausted, and I've got no energy, and they're kind of in that freeze, right? Where the nervous system is frozen, and the body is saying rest, right? And it may call for a bed rot day, right? We've all had that.
Yeah.
How would you coach somebody through that, where they're like, it's not, I think what most folks think, they interpret it as this depression, right? And it's not necessarily a depression. It's that the body has been go, 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 that we get to a point where it's not just the meat suit, it's the nervous system needs to
Sure.
rest.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of folks beat themselves up sometimes when they have these days where they're not productive and I could have did this and I should have did this and I should have did that. How would you coach that person through that?
I mean, not for nothing, I still have those moments too. I know a lot of times when I'm having a really busy day, I have to force myself to stop what I'm doing and go read some nonfiction for a second. You know what I mean? But then at a certain point in my brain, it's like, okay, get back to work. That's when the guilt starts coming in, and you're just like, so I can relate. I think it's a practice. You just have to practice. And there's definitely some neuroscience here with, training your brain. You have to train your brain to be okay with the changes that you're asking it to make, because back to like caveman days, change is bad. Even if the change is technically good, your brain thinks change is bad. So you have to start rewarding yourself. Like the brain likes that reward system. So celebrate your wins. Like even if they're tiny, like celebrate it. So your brain knows it's safe to make those changes that you've been asking for. But it's a practice and it takes time, and it's a process.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. It's like stay the same and be miserable, or pick this path over here. That will be hard. But at the end of the day, and it's somewhere along the journey never ends, obviously. There's always stuff that comes up, and that's the beauty of awareness. Self-awareness is that when things come up, you can, right then and there, you can make decisions and pivot and whatever. Or if you need to parking lot that, you can parking lot it and revisit it. You have that choice. But it's a super interesting journey, and I think I can say personally that I wouldn't change a thing. So is there anything that would you change it, right?
Not a single thing.
Not a single thing.
Not a single
thing. And so it's like, yeah, we're telling you the truth. It is hard, but at the same time, we wouldn't change a single thing. So it must have not been so bad, right?
I mean, we can all say that now because hindsight is 2020. I mean, in the moment, I was miserable.
Yeah.
Like I hated everything and everyone in my life and everything. But looking back now, all of that has made me who I am now, and I love me.
Absolutely.
So it is what it is.
It is what it is. I love that. That's like the best saying. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So, Naomi, if people resonated with you, excuse me, I've got this sinus thing going on. If people want to get a hold of you, they resonated with what you were saying today on this podcast, how would they get a hold of you?
So they can find me on my website, which is keepfindingyou.com. You can also find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I am actually on LinkedIn. I don't remember my handle, but it's at Keep Finding You with the letter U for Insta, Facebook, and TikTok.
I think I wrote it down. So www.keepfindingyou.com. And then LinkedIn, if you want. Did I write it down? I thought I wrote it down. Sorry, I didn't.
It's okay.
But yeah, you are on LinkedIn if they search by Naomi Kreske.
Yes.
So that is Kreske. And then talk about your Substack. You have a Substack community, right?
A little one, and I actually haven't done a whole lot of work on it recently. That's where I like to put, I have some blog articles there that just sort of goes through my journey of coaching and my inspirational moments that I like to share and my personal stories. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love Substack for like long form writing, right? Yeah. So if folks are into that, where they like to read about certain things, Substack's such a great platform for that. And it's like, if you really want to get into the reading of certain things, it's a great platform for that. And then LinkedIn, that's also a great platform. So if for the women that are listening today, and there might be some men. So for the women and the men that are listening today, and you could resonate with what we've talked about today, and you're feeling stuck and maybe unsure about this journey, and like, in the what I call in the middle of it, right? You're smack dab in the middle of it. What would be like your best advice, like to get them moving?
Yeah, to get them moving.
Yeah, get them like stepping in, because it's that thing where we start to ruminate and we're feeling stuck. We're like, we don't have that forward momentum. So in order to get a forward momentum, what would you be your best wisdom that you would share?
So my favorite motivation quote is, imperfect action beats perfect inaction every time. So it's just about doing it messy, doing it scared, just do it.
Right. Because that's another thing we've been conditioned. Like, oh, it's got to be perfect. No, it doesn't.
Yep.
Look, I heard get podcast guests. I'm like, and so I'm there's certain things that I'm learning in the process while I go through it, right? Like I need to do it this way. I don't think it's working that way, or I need to do this, that, and this. One thing right off the bat that I'm realizing, like, I'm recording way too much. Like it's a lot. And like, I'm a one-woman show over here. If I only just had to do like the recording, it would be a different story. So it's like, I have to step back and say, like, okay, where can I best serve folks? So being able to take inventory, like, am I stretching myself too thin, and why?
Right.
Why am I doing this? Am I trying to be a perfectionist, or am I trying to be the end all be all? Or so asking questions, definitely. Yeah.
Imperfect action beats perfect inaction.
And it can look super messy, a hot mess.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. And so what do you think is the theory behind that? Like, doing that, do you think it's the action part of it that the brain likes?
It's the action part that scares the brain, because you're doing something new. So it's just pushing past your fear. It's basically just pushing past your fear and doing it messy.
I love it. Good advice. Thank you for sharing your wisdom.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else that you would like to tell the listeners before we
There's one quote that I love that is super dear to my heart, and it's do unto others as you'd have done unto you. It's the golden rule. Thank you, 17th century theologians, but it's something that I live by, and I wish more people did.
Yeah, so true, right?
Yeah.
If we would just take a step back and say, do I really need to say this? Do I really need to write this? Is this serving me by writing this? Or, that's the whole thing with presence. And I think it's, we're getting better. I see that, but yeah, if we could just take a breath, just connect back to your body and back to your heart, that like some of the things that we're saying to each other and we're writing on social media is just, it's just not cool. So yeah, being in the present, I think, it's funny because my mother would always say that, like, you can have it up here, but like once it comes out of your mouth, like you don't want to be unkind. And yeah, so I think we're on the right track.
Yeah,
I really do. I think we are. I think we're seeing a pivot, and more folks are stepping. I think we're going to be super busy. I think you're going to be very busy in helping the people that you're helping, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
Yep.
So, yeah, we'll have to have you come back on, and maybe we'll pick a topic and we'll just talk about that.
Sounds good.
If that's something you want to explore, we'd love to have you back here on Harness the Shift. So let's go ahead real quick and give the social media again. So people grab your pieces of paper, your
Yes, it's
notebook, whatever you may have.
yeah.
I have a Ray over here. I have so much stuff that I've written on podcasts, like, ooh, that's good. And I go back and I look at it and I'm like, this is amazing. There's a lot of things that you can take in these podcasts that resonate, like, oh, I didn't even think of it like that, or maybe I should try that. And that's really what it's all about, is opening our throat and speaking, because that's a powerful thing. Where can folks find you?
So keep finding you with the letter U for social media, and then www.
Perfect. So, as I always do, I will put this in the podcast description too. So you can always go to the podcast description and I'll have everything listed out where you can go follow Naomi. And so, well, I guess this is a wrap, Naomi. Thank you so much for coming on and share on to Harness the Shift. And glad that you're harnessing the shift. And until next time, folks, keep harnessing the shift. Take care.
Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap. Thank you to our guests today. And if you would like to learn more about their work, all their links will be located in the podcast description. A quick shout out to our sponsor, LifeWave. I am a brand partner. These patches support energy, recovery, and overall wellness, and you can find out more about them under the central link in my bio, the Hooby link, hoo.b/harness the shift with J. All my offerings, including my coaching program when it's released, plus my contact information and social media links, are also available there, as well as in the podcast description. Thanks again for listening. I am Jay. I'll see you next episode on Harness the Shift.